Okay, good afternoon, good morning, everyone, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome to the third session for today. Welcome, Omo Balande. Just hold on 1 second. After the introduction, we'll just then you can share your screen. Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining. Good morning. If it's still morning by your time zone, thank you all for joining again. Trust your day has been going on well. Welcome Amodu, welcome Ashitu, Comfort, Frank, Grace, Juliet, Obaseki, Samuel, Omotola. Thank you all for joining again. Just giving a few more seconds for people joining in, just for more people to join in. Thank you all for tuning in again. We've had 2 sessions today already. How has it been so far? For this session, we are looking at change management and managing organizational change. It will be taken by Omobolande Adesanya. I'll be introducing him shortly and handing over to him while we wait for more people to join. Welcome, Ezi Amaka, Kehinde Adegbola, welcome. Welcome, Odonkumo Peter. Thank you for joining. Great to have you all here. Okay, let's meet our speaker for today while we wait for more people to join in. So let's meet Omobolande. Omobolande is an ID motivated human resource professional, passionate about providing strategic direction to organizations through innovative and customized approach. He has worked in cooperation with key business and HR leaders to co-create, execute, lead, and evaluate the impact of existing HR strategy, including but not limited to talent acquisition, performance management, talent development, succession planning, and retention optimization. He has over 8 years human resource management experience. He holds a master's degree in business administration from the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria with a distinction. That's the MBA with a distinction with specialization in HR and a bachelor's degree in public administration. He's an associate of the Chartered Institute of Personnel Management, CIPM Nigeria, and a member of the Human Resources Certification Institute, HRCI, in the USA. His experience cuts across various industries, consulting, technology services, retail startups, NGOs, international development agency, diplomatic mission, and FMCG. As a result of his outstanding performance while working with the United States of America Mission Nigeria between 2016 and 2018, Omobolande won 3 United States of America Department of State's Eagle Meritorious Award for customer service and outstanding performance within a space of 2 years. He is very resourceful, an enthusiastic team player, possessing excellent communication and leadership skill. His focus is on helping organizations discover and align corporate aspirations to people, process, and policy requirements needed to achieve their goals in the most efficient manner. Okay, with a loud ovation. I trust a lot of people are expectant for this session. So with a loud ovation and applause, let's welcome our speaker for today, Omo Bolane. He will be speaking on change management and managing organizational change. This session has been approved for 3 business credits towards the SPHRI certification. So we'll be looking at that shortly. I'll be handing over to him now. Let's welcome Omo Bolande. I'm not seeing the clapping emojis. I think we should be used to this by now. Let's give a warm welcome to Bola. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, great. Good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so it's a beautiful afternoon, and I want to say thank you, everyone, for coming. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Oh, awesome. Great. Okay, thank you very much. Adlam, Adislam, did I call you right? Adislam, right?
Adulam Consulting.
Adalam Consulting. Thank you very much for this opportunity to do something that I love to do, something that we've been taught over the years to always be passionate about doing. And I also want to say good afternoon to everyone for taking out this time. You know, it's always very interesting when you find young people that want to learn, irrespective of the time, the season, people still want to learn. And that's quite very awesome. I mean, I wouldn't expect that people are going to turn up for a section like this on a Sunday when I expect everyone to probably, want to take a rest, prepare for the new week, or probably want to get 1 or 2 things doing personal. But it shows that as professionals, we understand what it means to learn, we understand what it means to unlearn, and we understand what it means to relearn. And that's quite very awesome. And I want to say, if you can see me, I'm sending my clap. Can you hear my clap to everyone? Because that's something quite very awesome. And let me want to say also to Adelam Consulting that I want to say a big thank you on behalf of everyone that has taken time to attend this training. I'm saying thank you to Adelam on their behalf. The reason being that this is a kind of training or a section that you find many companies charging people for to attend, but Adeslam has decided to do that for free, and that's quite something very interesting because HR lectures, HR section is something that people tend to pay more attention to when they pay for it. And I know what it's costing, the organization to put this together for us. And I'm saying thank you very much. So for me, it's also going to be a session to learn because I'm sure that everyone here has got 1 or 2 things, one of experiences that they want to share, and I also want to learn. Okay, so I'm one of those professionals that I don't believe that when I'm delivering a section or facilitating a program or a training, it's all about me. It's about everyone because I also want to learn. This is one area that I find very interesting, particularly in a time like this. Generally, change is something that happens every time, right? But looking at the times and period that we have right now, it is something that as an organization, as people, as professionals, we need to pay more attention to. Can you still hear me? Let me just be sure I'm not speaking to myself.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Okay. It's something that we need to pay attention to, and something that organizations are focusing so much on because I believe that every strategy, every program, every initiative you want to develop at this time need to be speaking to something, right? And what it might be speaking to might be a turnaround, might be a revamp, might be a renewal, might be something changing. I don't want to use the word change, okay, because we're going to be using this word a lot of times. So I'm really refraining myself from using the word at the get-go. But however, I want us to have our mind set up. I want us to be ready to get 1 or 2 things. I want us to prepare our mind, open up our mind, and let's have a beautiful session together. Like I said, I also want to learn from everyone, and I'm sure everyone we had a great week. Let me start with that. I'm sure we know the rules already. At the end of the section, we have our questions. Please ask me any questions. Please feel free, say anything. I want to listen to you because I also want to learn from that. That's the only opportunity I have to listen to you guys. And that's the only opportunity I also think I'll be able to learn back from you. But like I said, it's a period to learn, to unlearn, and to relearn, right? So for me, I want to relearn whatever I know, and I also want to, and I also stand corrected in terms of I provide any information, any data that you don't agree with. Please go ahead and give a rebuttal. Okay. I like to be challenged around that thought process. You know, for me, that's the part I'm going to be learning from. All right. Um, so yeah, without further ado, I'll say good afternoon, everyone, as we hit the ground running to get ourselves into change. Change management, change. So I'm going to make it very simple so we can understand it from a, very granular so that we can understand the context. And for now, just bring your mind home. Don't look HR. Don't think high level for now. Don't begin to think around the strategy. Don't begin to think around the structure, the framework, the models. Just, relax and take a look back at what change means to you as a person. All right, just look at what does it mean? At what point do you think something needs to change? At what point do you think change occurs, even in your personal life, in your career, in the family, relationships, social, whatever. I mean, any situation, any position. Just take a sit back, look at, and you agree with me that change is something that happens almost all the time. Okay, either professionally, either personally, it's something that happens over time, all the time. And the reason is because something is always happening in our lives. If you agree with me, so there's always a need for you to update something, even educationally, right? Either you have, look at when you had a primary school education, to when you had a secondary school education, to when you obtain your university degree, to when you obtain your master's, postgraduate, whatever level of achievements you've attained. Those phases of your lives are transformed by change. All right. Those activities occur as a result of a need for something, a status quo has to be moved, right? Something different has to be rebirthed. You need to do something different. That's what change implements. Now, change could either be positive or it could be negative. Now, many times we don't focus, I mean, people don't want to talk about the negative impacts of change management itself. But however, let me tell you that change management also could have a negative impact as much as the aim is to have a positive impact. There's always a negative impact. I don't know how I'm going to enjoy this. Babajide, is there any way I can know you're still listening to me? Just maybe once in a while, just let me know. Just give me some mannerisms. Is that okay?
Okay. Yes, I can do that.
Oh, great. So that, I mean, that's because of network. Do you understand? So that I can be sure that I'm still with everyone together. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yeah. So I'm going to be using a very simple hypothesis, a very simple scenario example that we all are familiar with. So let's just think around a time when you're flying on an aeroplane. I'm sure many of us have not had to have go through a time when you were on air and your airline or your flight needed to return back to base for one or two reasons. But let me just paint the scenario. You're on a plane heading for Dubai, for example, and let's say 30 minutes after your plane took off, the pilot announced and said, hello, something is going wrong. We're experiencing turbulence. The weather is not good. We've gotten a signal from Dubai, Abu Dhabi airport saying that we can't land and all of those things, right? Now, do you know that at any point in time, a plane needs to take a U-turn, okay? The pilot will not just take a U-turn without doing certain things. And one of those things is there has to be communication. Number one, within the air hostesses or air hostess, as the case where or may be, with the co-pilot, okay? The pilot also needs to communicate to the airport where they were coming from. The pilot also will communicate to the arriving or the receiving airport, okay? Just to ensure that everyone is well informed of what is about to happen. And what is about to happen is a change. Because the airline left Nigeria, or the plane left Nigeria, or Lagos, or Abuja for Abu Dhabi. Okay, so there's a destination, Lagos to Abu Dhabi. Are we together? Now, the plane cannot proceed to Abu Dhabi. Okay, probably need to stop by the nearest airport within the airspace of where the plane and where the issue came up from, or need to return back to Lagos or Abuja or wherever it's coming from. Okay. Now, the pilot will not just navigate without, I mean, it will probably just feel that, well, I'm the chief pilot, I'm the senior pilot, right? I don't need to tell anybody anything. All I have to do is just, I mean, I control the affairs right now. Let me just, take a U-turn and go back. No, that's not going to happen. There has to be communication with everyone that are stakeholders on that particular journey or on that particular process, which could involve the assistant pilot, the air hostess, the arriving destination, the airspace agency that will be receiving them at Abu Dhabi, or where they are returning to in Lagos. There has to be that communication. And also, communication will go to you, the passengers, also, because otherwise, what will happen is if the pilot just takes a U-turn and did not communicate to the passengers of what's going on, you might sue the airline for infringing on your rights. Okay, because you have a reason why you're traveling, maybe for an appointment, for a meeting, for leisure, or whatsoever the case may be. Do you understand? The pilot will have to communicate. And if that doesn't happen, that is a breach. Okay, that is a change. So let's go to our first. So what has changed? What is change management? So generally, you have different definitions of what change management means. And for me, I've put definitions together and I've come up with this definition. It's a collective term for all approaches to prepare, support, and help individuals, teams, and organizations in making organizational change. Like I said, we're going to be using this word a lot. You're going to be hearing it a lot because that's the context. That's the context of our conversation, and it's going to be coming up, as often as possible. All right. Now, right, moving from point one to another point. That's a change. Repentance. Yeah, I mean, this is very strange because you want to turn from something to a new thing, right? Of whatever it means. So that is what change management means, right? Because a lot of things has to come together, a lot of activity has to be involved. Change doesn't just happen overnight. There has to be communication, there has to be a project framework, there has to be a timeline, there has to be a result of what you want to achieve, or does have to be an evaluation of what the problem is, or what the problem was, what necessitated to change, what are we changing from, why do we need to change? Okay, there has to be an expected result. What do you want to achieve from this change? Okay, so that's why you have it as a collective term for all approaches, for everything you want to do, all the processes, all the stages, all the stakeholders that are involved. It's a collective activity. It doesn't just happen in isolation. It doesn't just happen with one person. It is collective. Great, let's move on. Now, we have different models of change management, okay? Now, as we run through this model, I want you to begin to look at which of these applies to you as a person, as an organization at this time. Okay, so begin to look at this definition, begin to look at this terminologies, this model, and begin to identify which of them fit into your own system. Which of them, oh yes, I remember sometimes ago when this happened, this is what happened. Yes, that is the model. That's the model that belongs to your particular model. Okay. Oh, there was a time when we needed to go through a cultural transformation, or we needed to go through a process revamp. That is a model for you guys. That was what happened at the organization at that particular time. So just look at it. So number one, we have what we call the strategic transformation change. Now, this is very common, as we are aware. This is the most, as a matter of fact, this is even one of the most common part of change management. So this is when a company is trying to go into new technology. So let's take, for example, as an HR department, what you were using before was probably an SAP, success factor, for your HR end-to-end process, for your recruitment, for your performance, for succession management, and all that. And business is feeling like, you know what, number one, we can't afford SAP anymore, okay, because of the cost, and we need to move to something else. I mean, it's not a conversation. We have to still be automated. However, we cannot afford SAP anymore, okay? and we need to deploy probably seamless HR, or you want to use Workday, or you want to use Azure, or you want to use Woman Manager, or any of those other softwares you want to use. Okay. And so the question is, what happens? How do we transfer from SAP to this new technology? What needs to happen? And don't forget that the HR manager or the project manager who owns this transformation will not just say, you know what, I don't want to use SAP anymore. I want to move into a new technology, right? The question is, there has to be justification as to why you don't want to use SAP anymore. And guess what? If you're telling the business owner that I don't want SAP anymore because it's not scalable, I'm sure your MD is not going to be, I mean, that won't be making sense to them so much, because that doesn't sound like the tone of what an MD or an ED or a GM wants to hear at the time. Or you're saying SAP is not scalable, SAP is so rigid, we can't adapt it, we can't modify it, we can't tweak it. That exactly is a good justification for you as a user, right? But to the business owner, that might not be making so much of sense. Are we together about it, Babajide?
Yes, we are.
Awesome, right? But the business owner wants to hear things like cost, number one. Now, I'm not saying the other things are not reasonable, okay? I'm not saying they won't be excited about the other reasons, but why do you want to put forth those non-intrinsic or those non-validated or not so strong or data-driven information ahead of the data-driven information? Okay, that's the tone of what I like. So if you're telling the MD that I don't want to use SAP anymore because of cost, and trust me, that is a big blow. Like, wow, yeah, I've been saying it all this while now. HR is costing us so much, and so that's the sense. However, that is not really your concern as an HR manager, okay? But the most important thing is the user friendly, okay? From the support, how often do they respond to you when you have technical issues? That is your concern. Oh, my employees are not finding it easy to use. It's not scalable. I can't run reports easily. Please, I'm not saying SAP is not good, though. I'm just giving an example. Please don't quote me wrong, though. Okay, that's just an hypothetical example. Exactly. So before SAP finds me, because I'm a fan of SAP, in my organization we use SAP a lot. It's a very strong ERP. Yeah. However, you've made a very strong case. Okay, and something is about to happen. The change you want is about to come to life because you've been able to give them good reason to say, I think it's quite very, I mean, looking at my HR budget and how much I'm spending on technology, it's too expensive for us as a business. And you're saying, you know what, if we get it, we could do Woman Manager, or, and also I'm not advocating for Woman Manager, please. Okay, I'm not campaigning for them. I'm just using the terms you're familiar with so that I can't be bringing up terms that are not outside of HR, please. You're saying, what's the other one I mentioned earlier? Seamless HR. Yeah, yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. Then you now begin to look at the project scope. Okay, what else? What is SAP doing that, I mean, Seamless is going to do for me? Because, of course, you don't want to go from bad to worse, right? So you want to go from good to better and from better to best. So you want to look at the things SAP was doing that you liked, okay? And the things Seamless or any other software B, let me just use this kind of news, I don't run into trouble. So what system B is doing that you think SAP can do, or Seamless system A can do, okay? You want to look at what system B can do, but system A is not doing for you at this time. You're already building a very strong case. That's then we was talking about doing a strategic transformational change. And it's strategic because it's going to speak to finance, it's going to speak to the business in terms of the usefulness of it, the user friendly, and also the validation of what you want it to do for you. That is why it's highly strategic. It doesn't speak to any function right now. It's speaking to the business as a whole. It's speaking to the result. It's speaking to what you want to achieve. Okay, so you've looked at cost, you've looked at the functionality, the results you're going to get from it. By that time, you can be talking about, I am going through a transformational, I'm going through a strategic transformational change, because it's going to affect every part of your process as a function, as a department. Another example could mean that you want to deploy new skills. You've updated your competency framework. okay, your competency directory as a department or as an organization, and you feel that, you know what, we need to upskill some of the skills we have. For finance, for example, right, we need to move into IFRS, reporting template or reporting standard for our financial reporting. We need to move away from the systems. We need to, do something different. The skills we need now is we need professionals that understand the IFRS reporting standard. Okay, you want professionals that understand what it means to be able to work on strict deadlines. You want, professionals that are people-centered focus. You want professionals that understand the latest financial terminologies or latest fundraising methodology that will help your business to be able to raise any series of funding you're looking at. Right now, or you're looking at the department of HR and you're saying, you know what, we want HR to move from HR to people. What are the skills we need? The competency framework around the functional, around the behavioral standard for the business is so much on respect, is so much on ethics. So we need people that can be able to work around this new set of skills. We want people that are friendly. We want people that are customer-centric. Your competency framework has been designed around this new set of skills. And now you need to now bring it to the people, which will affect your recruitment, number one, which will also affect the current staff you have, how to upskill them to match up with this new competency, right? Now, if you're going through that transformation, that is also a strategic transformational change because that is going to affect the business. So it won't just be for the department alone. It's cut across the entire business. And the result, the output is either going to be positive for the business or negative for the business, depending on how it is being implemented. All right? That's what we talk about, strategic transformational change. Now, the question is going to be, how do we go about this? As we move on, we're going to see on the other slides of how to approach, how to go around all of these, models of change that we're going to be doing or we intend to do. Now, the other type of change as an organization you might have gone through or you want to go through or you will go through at some point is a people-centered organizational change. Now, you'll see that there's a relationship between the strategic transformational change with regards to new skills and the people-centric organizational change. However, the difference between these two is that one is focused on people, while one is focused on the business as a whole in totality. Now, so for example, elements that comes up under this people-centric organizational change are things around new hires. Sorry, excuse me. So you're looking at new hires, changes to roles and responsibilities, or how tax will be performed, or policy changes, right? So what does that mean? Now, this means that this kind of change is going to be affecting people directly. It's going to affect their job. It's going to affect their psychic. It's going to affect their emotion. It's going to affect how they feel or how they get things done. Let me give you a good example. Do you understand that, or do you know, have you ever encountered a system where you're going through a change management process and you need to hire a new set of employees into the business? And because this activity wasn't carried out properly, can I tell you for free that your new hires might be superstars where they're coming from, but it could come into your organization and become worse performance. And you know why? Because, number one, those in the business, who we call the greenhorns, people that claim to be, we've been here for long, nothing can happen without us. If you don't, how should I say it? If you don't pay homage, if you don't respect us, if you don't, in Yoruba, they will say, permit me. If you don't know that we are here in this business and we'll be here for years, you will not be able to achieve anything. You will hire these new employees, they will come on board and they will not be able to deliver because they'll be frustrated. Now, I'm not saying we need to respect this set of people, okay? But what I'm saying is the fact that because you're going through a change, now it is very fundamental for you to understand that some people find change very, very difficult. As a matter of fact, they are anti-change, they don't support change, okay? Thereby, they want to frustrate the process. Everything you want to do around this process, they want to frustrate it. Now, what is the approach to managing them? They are stakeholders, okay? You need to make them feel like the change agents. Get their buy-in. I'm not saying be submissive to them, but you need to get their buy-in because they've been in that business for a while, okay? And no matter whatever, I mean, I'm of the opinion that irrespective of how the kind of change you want to do, it's important for you to understand the fact that some people have been in that system for a while and they've made things work. Okay, so you just don't want to make them feel like, you know what, things are so bad. If things are that bad, the company will not even be existing anyways anymore. Okay, so you can't just feel that, I mean, because we want to change things around, because we want to transform everything we're doing right now, some people doesn't matter. However they feel, I really don't care. You have to care because we're talking about the people-centered organizational change right now. You have to care about the new, about the old. But what you find most time, you find many organizations focusing so much on the new hires, neglecting those that are already existing. However, if your intention is to do a replacement strategy in terms of get those people that are in-house, then replace them with people that are in, well, maybe. However, do you also know that if you don't do that systematically or strategically, those people coming will not meet anything to work with because those guys going can mess things up for you. And you might have to, I mean, you might actually feel like you're starting a company all over again, just because, I mean, you didn't do what you have to do well. So in going through a change management transformation, we have to be very systematic about it. We have to be very strategic about it. We have to understand that there are stakeholders, there are people that they could marry you, trust me. I mean, I'm going to give you a very good example around this because some years back, I was leading a change management transformation in a major multinational up north, and the company has been for over 20 years. And so they were looking to raise almost about 500 million USD for the new divestment and new business expansion they're going through. And so they needed to turn around thing. The investor wanted to see what they had, the as structure, to be what the new framework is going to look like, what the new business is going to look like. When we go through all of this change, what are we expecting to see? Now that is an expectation already. Okay. So when we got on board, I was the lead on the project. And trust me, I said up north because so that I can know how far away they are from this part of us. And they've been operating for like 20 years, pretty very comfortable, making their little revenue. Well, little, but quite a lot for them at that time. But for the new business owners, that was little compared to the capacity of what the business could launch out. And we got on board. As a matter of fact, you know that on the first day of arrival at the client site, it was a big problem because they already knew that something was going to happen. Okay, so we had all these, and it's a highly unionized environment. So they already, they arrested on the way, saying, "Oh, you guys are coming to blah, 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 to take care of our job. Look at that, take care of our job." That's a kind of perception people get to have when they hear the word change. And I'm sure that many of us understand this very well. When people hear change, it comes with a threat. It comes with a fear, oh, I'm going to be losing my job. And who are those that are doing I mean, people that will feel that way most are people that probably feel that they were not doing things right, okay? But people that feel that they're doing things right might not really feel bothered because they know that these things have to happen. And if these things happen, it might be a launch for me. I'm going to get there too, for you to know that change management or a transformation, either some people are going to move up, okay? Some people are going to retain where they are, some people are going to move down, and some people are going to have to leave. It's a big sword that happens. The sword could either be very friendly or could be unfriendly. Okay. Now, so they didn't understand what was going to happen. So there was so much of fear already. And when we started working, I started sending mails. I was able to identify my stakeholders who were the change agent. And the client was like, "It doesn't matter. I don't care about these people. Just do what you have." And I said, "No, we can't just do what we have to do. Otherwise, we will be frustrated." As a matter of fact, this project would have died before it even started. So I need to identify my stakeholders. Yes, I have my primary stakeholders who are the MD, the CEO, the HR, the current HR people, all the people that really wanted the thing to get done, that really wanted the change. Those are my primary stakeholders. But I also need to identify my secondary stakeholders because I want a special project. And who are my secondary stakeholders? Those old staffs that have been there for a very long time, that have the historical data, that understand where the company is coming from. Those are my secondary stakeholders. And I needed to identify them because I'm going to make them the change agent that I want. Okay, so what am I trying to say is the fact that in going through this people-centric organizational change, you might have to identify your secondary stakeholders. Within them, select them as change agents. Do you know what you're doing? You're saying, I know you don't want this thing, but I'm making you see reasons why this thing has to happen. As a matter of fact, I'm making you a principal agent to getting this thing done. And what you've done is you've given them responsibilities, right? And at that time, you sit with them, let them see the big picture. Let them understand why this needs to happen. Let them understand the fact that, you know what, your job is not going to be taken away. As a matter of fact, it's going to probably make your job feel better. Either you're probably going to have a job enrichment or a job enlargement or whatever, okay? I mean, you need to get that picture. Otherwise, I can tell you, they will frustrate your job. They will frustrate the project. And by the time you're done, the client will tell you, you haven't done a good job. And by that time, you can't tell them that they're your staff members. They don't want to hear that story. You are an expert in that area. They expect you to be able to understand who are the people that matter. How do you want to get this result done? Doesn't matter. There's no excuse you have to give. What we want is a result. We want results. We want something to change. Okay. So during this process, identify your stakeholders, divide them into categories, the principal stakeholders, the primary, second stakeholders, and make them change agents because they understand the people that can make things better. They understand the people that can make things worse. So you penetrate in between them. You give them tasks. Let them know that, you know what, we're changing, we're doing a cultural change. Oh, what does that mean? We're changing the way we work. We're changing the way we address ourselves. We're changing the way we do our reporting. We're changing our dress code. We're changing our mindset. I mean, whatever you want to do around your cultural change, right? Either advocacy, hierarchical, you know, whatever, markets, let them understand the picture and let them see the role they have to play to help you achieve these results. And by so doing, you pin them down, okay, and they won't have any choice but to support you because you already made them feel very important. All right. So in this kind of change, we're changing new hires. We want to replace people, and the question is, what are they going to be doing? Okay. What's the recruitment process for them going to look like? How are we going to onboard them so that even from the onboarding and induction, they're already succeeding from the get-go, right? So there's going to be changes to roles and responsibility. Like I mentioned to you, by the time you're doing an organizational change, probably structure-wise, people that are at the lower level might need to move up, okay? People that are maybe as a result of merger and acquisition, people that are in maybe company A before that move to company B right now need to move to a different location or need to move to a different. Let me give a very good example to address that very well. Look at when Access Bank merged with Diamond Bank or Diamond Bank merged with Access Bank. Now, do you understand that people needed to change roles? They couldn't accommodate everybody in HR. They couldn't accommodate everybody in procurement because Access Bank is still the same, right? You won't have procurement for different, locations anymore. It's going to be at the central level. Do you understand? So people needed to change roles. That's a change management going on already. So what's happening? Competencies now has to be displayed as an HR professional in that function, in that function, in that function, in that function. Okay, you need to now, develop your new business strategy, develop your organizational structure, and begin to pin people, align people to the new styles. Now, if you don't do all of those things, what will happen is because you don't even understand what is about to happen as an HR, you need to be in the center of what is happening. Or you've heard that your company is moved to another company, or a new company has acquired your company. You need to be thinking ahead. What are the things that are going to change? You need to be looking at your org structure even before they ask you, even before the ED or the GM or the MD or whoever the executive is asking you questions. You need to be ready for it because you've seen what is about to happen. That is a merger, there's an acquisition. Okay, companies diversifying, companies expanding, we're opening new locations. Something new is about to happen. So you're already creating a new organizational structure for the business in your head, in your structure, drawing it down. Different templates is already rolling out because you're ready for what's about to happen. You're thinking ahead. So by the time they call you into that meeting, they're saying, "Oh, Mr. Hay, I'm sure you're aware that we've been acquired by a new company, or we've acquired a new company, or whatever the case may be," right? You're saying, "Yes, I'm aware." Okay, what's the way forward? "Oh, I've redesigned the new structure." And they're like, "Wow, okay, can we see what it looks like?" You're already showing them what is going to be changing. Okay, this role is moving to this role. Our competency is changing from A to B. We have 7 before, it's moving to like 10, or it's moving to like 3 because new skills are going to be coming on board. People need to learn from where we are going to. We are focused on the market, on the customer segment right now. So we need to develop so much of customer-centric skills, so much of marketing skills. Oh, we want to focus so much on retention. We don't want to lose any staff, particularly our top from your 9 box match, we don't want to lose any top performer, right? So you're already, doing all of those frameworks that will make you ready for the change about to happen. So even by the time you need to communicate to people what they're going to be doing, you as a person, you understand what they're going to be doing or why did it, because be ready for sure that people are going to ask you questions. All right. When you're thinking that, oh, you know what? Your department was in procurement, but we've done an assessment and we discovered that we need just 5 people. For the 5 people right now, how do you arrive at who are going to be the 5 people? Oh, you've done a skill set analysis, you've done a performance analysis of seeing performance people that need to move ahead with us. But we're not. But you are saying that you are not leaving us, but we're moving you somewhere else. All right, that is a change. But you need to be ready to explain to people. You need to be ready to let them look at, okay, so I have to acquire new skills. What is the training required? What are the trainings I need to get for these new skills? All these are the things as an HR professional you need to be ready to do. I need to know how to get them done. How together. Or you're changing your policy, right? You're trying to update your policy. Maybe your reward policy was that there was 13th month, but going forward, there won't be 13th month anymore, or vice versa. We never had 13th month, we're going to be having 13th month. Whatever the case, whatever policy you're going to be changing. Maybe your department was HR and is now called people. Maybe your department was business development, is now called market research or market enlargement. Those are policies that has to be changed, right? But people need to be well aware of why these things are happening, when it's going to happen, the impact of these things on them, and how it will, because people constantly want to know, what is my role? How will this affect me? What is the impact of this action? Because people are always thinking about themselves. Okay, so they are hearing that the company is diversifying, we're having a organizational change, things are moving from, new skills are coming on board. The question in their mind is, how will I be affected? What is the impact on this with me? What's my role and all of those things? Now, I've been able to explain people-centric with structural, which is a merger and acquisition. Now, but another part I want to explain to us is, under merger and acquisition, 3 things usually happen if you're going through a structural change. We're going to be having what you call the unfreezing, the change, and the refreeze. Now, what that simply means the fact that under the unfreezing, what is changing for us is the fact that for what we used to do before, we are getting ourselves out of it, all right? And we are moving into the new thing. And that's what happens most times when a company is going to a change due to a merger and acquisition. Particularly, the new company buying over the old company will probably want to change a lot of things. Trust me. We'll probably, as a matter of fact, we'll likely want to, if not everything possible, because, they're the one buying over. They call the shots right now. And they have their template, they have their system, they have what they want to operate with. Anyways, if things was going well with the other company, there probably won't be any need for anyone buying over, okay? So they are saying that, you know what, we want to match together, we want to acquire you for whatever reason, for maybe poor performance, or we want to expand, or the business owner don't have interest anymore in that particular business anymore, or there's been a financial failure, or whatever case. We've seen that a lot of times within the banking sectors happening in the country a lot of times, right? So sometimes it's not only because the company has failed, but we just mean that there's no interest anymore for the shareholders, or there's no funds availability anymore to invest in that particular business. And the other company feels that we have enough funds, we can, we could help, we have the strategy, we have the understanding and the work without to help the business grow better. So these kind of things happen, right? Or so in doing that, you find that there might be a need to create new departments. You hear department like project departments, you hear department like other services departments, MD's departments, chief of staff role, which is a new training role you are hearing, right? Over time, we never had those roles before, chief of staff, but you hear roles like chief of staff, things are changing. And they all have to be accommodated on the org structure, either at the global level or at the second tier level of the business. And this is a structural change, right? Now, the question is going to be, as an HR person, how do I ensure that during this structural change, I don't lose my top talent? I still maintain a very good culture. I still maintain a very good environment. I still maintain a very good performing style. Okay. And as HR professional, it is for us to understand that I can tell you for sure that this is one of the most difficult change to go through, structural change. Because when it comes to merger and acquisition, because it's always a function of power. It's always a function of power, saying that, you know what, we want to change everything. We don't even want the old ways. They'll change the colors, they'll change the logo, they'll change the brand, they'll change the vision, I mean, a lot of things are going to be changed at this particular level of change, right? And an HR professional, we are the one involved at every point of this, because the end result of all of this is on the people. No matter what they change at the top level, they change the offshore design, they change the vision of the company, they change the mission, it still falls back on the people. Because whatever vision you have, whatever mission you have, needs to be executed by people. And you can see why it is still people eventually. So for us at this time, we need to understand, because the approach to this kind of change is very different from the approach to people change. It's different from the approach to strategy, because at this point, you're not telling them about money. You're not telling them about why they need to move from point A to point B. No, they're going to be the one telling you, particularly if the HR is not from the new company, I mean, from the old company, it's coming from the new company. Be ready to get all of this confusion, all of this communication. But the most important thing is, once you have a very clear communication plan, you know, I keep mentioning this so because every project, every change management result leans on or hinges on the communication style. Is it very flexible? Is it top down? Is it vertical? How are you communicating to people? How do they understand what you're saying? Are we together, Abajide?
Yes, we are. We are
Awesome.
here.
Right. So let's move to remedial change. And I'm going to be, explaining this better, because this is a kind of a new kind of, it's not exactly very common, like we're familiar with strategic change, people-centric change, or structural change. Now, for remedial change, this type of change occurs when a problem is identified and a solution needs to be implemented. Now, these changes are designed to address an issue, they call for an immediate action. Now, like all of these other changes that we're looking at, that is going to be changing, for remedial, it's a problem-based and a solution-driven kind of change, right? It is very reactionary. So it waits for something to happen before an action is being taken. Okay? That's the remedial kind of change. There's a problem. Let's take, for example, a performance problem, right? Maybe as a result of, disengagement, low morale, and all of those things. So the question is, how do we address this kind of change? Oh, I'm losing my staff, my top talent are leaving me. What's going to happen? This is a very spontaneous kind of change. This kind of change eliminates, doesn't go through the other kind of change models, process, stages, develop the framework that we're used to, who are the stakeholders, let me get the approval, what happens. No. This is an immediate. You need to take an action right on the spot. Quite a very risky kind of a change. Very, very risky. But you need to take an action because, for example, I'm losing my talent. My analytics is showing me that month in, month out, I'm losing 2-3 of my top performance on my top layer of my 9-box metrics. And you're telling me that I need to start developing approvals. I need to develop a framework. No, you need to give an instant reaction. They are calling you to the board and they're asking you, hey, HR director, HR manager, HR expert, what is happening? You're not going to tell them, MD, I've been studying the situation over time, and we are still developing the framework. I'm sure you're going to be the next one to be fired right on the spot. Because number one, you're not thinking quick. The problem is already, there's already a problem. The solution is, how do I fix this? I don't know whose nest is leaving. So you're looking at setting in your surveys, so instant surveys, you're going into your questionnaires to say, why are people leaving? The exit survey they filled, what were they saying inside the exit surveys? You're throwing a pulse check immediately to all staff. You want to know who is leaving next. You want to tell when somebody's going to be leaving, why they'll be leaving. Is it salary issues? Is it based on monetary, intrinsic or extrinsic? You want to begin to understand those things. Is it based on our culture? Are people feeling tired, fatigued about the way we do things? Oh, we have a lot of millennials. What's their style? The Gen Z, they want a flexi work style. They want an agile way of working. They want new systems. We're used to Microsoft. Oh, they want a MacBook. Can we afford it right now? Oh, things people are getting overworked. We don't have tHRive. We don't have team bonding. What are we going to do? So right on the spot, you're thinking like 1 million times, 1 million thoughts per second. Because something is changing. People are leaving, you're losing your stars, you're losing your performance. And that's why I always encourage that for a remedial kind of change, it should always be ready at every time for this kind of change. We don't have to wait for when there's a problem. As professionals, we should always have our pulse check, either monthly, quarterly, weekly, even within our teams as managers. We need to always do our checks, send out our surveys, doing our stand-up meetings, ask questions, how they feel. For once, forget about the job. For once, think about the people. Forget about the result. Think about how they feel. Because how they feel will determine how they perform. So this is the kind of change that we should always be ready for. The other kind of change I mentioned, a situational kind of change, happen, maybe something is going wrong, a process needs to be revamped, all of those things. But for a remedial kind of change, it's direct. Customers are not happy with us anymore. Our product is declining. We're not getting the same value or the market share anymore within the industry. Customers feel that our response time to inquiries are too slow. They send a mail, they don't get a response immediately. And you're losing your customers to your competitors. You're not going to wait and say you want to go back. This should always be real time. You should always be ready for a change that is problem driven and a solution preferring. Oh, people are not performing. You want to provide new trainings for them. Why should that even be a conversation? Why must people not perform before they are given training? How will somebody on a 10-level scale of performance all of a sudden move to level 2? What were you looking at? From 8, 7, 6, 5 to 2? No. Because you don't have a system or a check that helps you to understand people's performance, or you just feel very relaxed or comfortable with a particular person as a performer. I can tell you for sure that the same way an employee can move high, it can also nosedive down if certain things are lost. So a remedial change is the kind of a change that as professionals, we should always sit back and be ready for at every time. We approach it before it comes. We approach it as it comes. Now, what are the kind of things that sometimes necessitate change? Even if you look at a time like this, we have technology, right? So company go to changes, like I mentioned, the other models, because of technology, we need to move from a particular software to a new software, or there's a new software in the market for collaboration. We need to move from Teams. We need to go to Slido rather, whatever it is, right? Or we need to move to WeDay or all of those things. So that's a technology kind of change. Or it's based on our process. We need to move from a particular, maybe we're using Google before, we need to now move to Microsoft. That's technology kind of change. These affect changes sometimes. Evolution, a complete way of life, which is similar to what we're going through right now. Process reviews also necessitated a company to go through change, right? Which most time will come from mergers and acquisition. We need to merge, so all our policies have to be abolished or have to be updated or something. The ways of working has to change completely. Or crisis, like the one the world is right now. As a matter of fact, this is a very clear season of change for many companies. Change in the context of some companies are going down, while some companies are coming up. Netflix have declared a lot of profits as like they've never done before. And I can tell you for sure that might never happen if we never had COVID-19. But you know what happened again? When COVID-19 came, Netflix reacted possibly to the COVID-19. They responded to people's needs. If they sat down and felt that, oh, okay, you know what, it's still Netflix, people are still going to watch movies. No, I can tell you they won't be able to declare what they've declared, but you know what they did? There was so much of marketing. There was so much of new movies, partnering with different companies, countries for production of movies on their platform. Because people were home, people needed to watch television, people needed to be on, get digital and get themselves engaged. Online stores were selling more. Those that knew what they were doing, they were selling more because people were not going out anymore. So I'm sure that if you've noticed, we had more dispatch companies during this season than ever. That was a change, and that's a reaction. Go-Kada went down because of a policy, but Go-Kada again came back when a crisis happened. You know what would have happened? If Go-Kada had felt like, you know what, Lagos State government has shut us down, we need to pack our load and leave. But they thought around, I mean, they didn't even see COVID coming at that time, but they felt like, you know what, we could create another business model. We could move into another, vertical, which they did. And that was dispatch. And when COVID came, because they were already in the minds of people, they were in the people's image, people understood the service delivery network, people went for them. And we have many companies, that started off during this period. Crises most times give birth to new ideas. The same crisis that will get some company to go down forever. Look at, for example, Starbucks in Canada started shutting down their stores, and they said they might never come up again. That is also still, slimy thinking, because what if tomorrow something changes and Starbucks need to come up? But what they did was they didn't shut down all their branches. They said some of our branches. That was a business sense that it saw and felt like, you know what? For profit optimization, for business continuity, we need to do these things. Shut down some branches, allow some to keep operating. That was a crisis-driven kind of change. Many people took advantage of that kind of a change to get better. Customers' habits, consumers' habits make you change. An example would be Peak Milk is the same company that produces Dano. I mean, no, not Dano. They produces Peak Milk produces this other milk, a lower version for people that could afford it.
Is it 3 Crown?
3 Crown. Thank you very much. They are the same company that produces 3 Crown. That's a consumer habit reaction. Oh, I can't afford Peak Milk; it's too expensive. And they also have the Holland Peak Milk, right? That's the consumer habit. Now, yes, the company will have to redo the process to ensure that the quality of the old Peak Milk, okay, is not totally lost from 3 Crown. The same thing Luna Milk did. They came up with Popular, competing with themselves. That's a consumer habit, which is caused by pricing, right? MTN also during COVID started giving, I don't know, I benefited from it. You could, if you dial *121, you get a higher version of data compared to what you were. That's an habit. You see the amount of reaction from all the markets because something is changing. People are not working right now. They're losing jobs, but they still need to communicate. Pressure from new business entrants also frustrate, also give birth to change. As a matter of fact, some companies are not going to get better if they don't have competition. The same way as professionals, as a manager, as a leader, if you don't have someone smarter on your team, you might not be the best of yourself. Something needs to cause a reaction for you to become better. Otherwise, you just be the boss of yourself. And until you go for an interview, you will know that you are behind in the new HR practice, in the new HR methodology, in the new HR strategy that is in town. So sometimes you constantly need to retire yourself out of a job to get more skills, to be advanced, for you to have a push-up, just like a spring. You need to take a bend so you can spring up better. It's also a reaction. I already explained merger and acquisition from a previous slide, and organizational restructuring in totality. The company is, is going through a complete restructuring. This is a different conversation. I don't want to go into it if you allow me, because that's pretty very broad. Elements of restructuring, things that goes into that and all of that. Now, what are you changing most times? Now, when you have a mindset of, okay, so we understand the models of change already, we understand how change happened, what exactly are we changing? You need to understand that. That needs to be very clear to you as a professional. From the top level, middle level, low level, you need to understand what the company is changing. And most times we have mission, vision, and strategy. Our mission, number one, maybe before, was we want to be the leading producer of telephone, of mobile telephones in Africa. We've looked and felt like, you know what, with the current situation of the world, we cannot eat into the market anymore. If we continue to have this vision of being the leader in Africa, we won't do so much. Why can't we focus so much on leader in Nigeria? And guess what? That was what Techno did. Babajide, That was what Techno did. Techno is not competing with Apple. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're aware, Techno is not competing with Samsung. They just choose their own market. And you know what happened? They won that market. They are winning that market across all grounds. What was that? That was a vision. But when they were coming in, the intention wasn't just to be in Nigeria. The intention was to eat the market, but they saw that no. We need to, you see, this market in Nigeria, we need to own this ground first. When we own this ground, we can move. And they kept moving, started producing other phones, or they added accessories to it, or Oraimo accessories. They had a bomb plate to it, came up with different business models, and that was what happened to them. Right? So tomorrow, if they feel that we've conquered Nigeria, there's going to be a revamp. There's going to be a change of that strategy and say, okay, you know what? We want to conquer the whole of West Africa, of Sub-Saharan Africa, and they keep moving. But you find many companies losing the focus even from the start. You've not even conquered Lagos State. You want to conquer the whole of Nigeria. When Gokara came on, but people felt like Gokara didn't know what they were doing. Moved to Oyo, moved to Ogun State, but they knew what they were doing. Because what was the key for them was, we need to take care of Lagos. That's the market hub. Do you get what I'm saying? Because what they wanted to solve was a problem, which was the problem of transportation, right? Ibadan does not have that kind of problem of traffic. So why do you want to start from Ibadan? Or why? I mean, what's the market for us in Ibadan? You can't sell the market in Ibadan. Because how much is the bike in Ibadan? 15 naira, 30 naira, 20 naira. How much is a normal bus in Ibadan? 35, 30 naira, 15 naira. So why do I want to waste my money in Ibadan? And I want to maintain standard of the kind of bike I use. 220cc. I don't want to go less than that. If I buy the same kind of bike, 500,000 naira, and I move to Ibadan, will I make my money? No, I won't. Right? That was a clear vision. That was a clear strategy that they understood. And if anything is going to happen around that, they need to come back to this vision, align it again, change it, expand the scope, then they launch. Technology also is another way of changing, like we've mentioned. Human behavioral changes. The kind of talent you want, the kind of skills you want, the kind of culture you want to create also bring birth for change. Job tax design, you're remodeling your job framework. You're remodeling your competency styles. You're remodeling how people are going to be doing their job. People were working manually before, but now they need to use technology. Oh, technology has failed us in this area. People need to move manually. It's also another kind of change. And overview organizational structure. Oh, we had a functional before. We want to move to a matrix model. We've expanded already. Okay, we don't want to use flat anymore. Everybody should not report to the top line anymore. I want to use, let's do a matrix model because we're expanding. Okay, and I also want the same cost center to be reported to the same cost center. So I don't want to use a functional one. I want to use a matrix model. That also will involve that you have to break out of your existing structure, sit back, redesign it, look at all your stakeholders that will be affected. Those that will lose their job, those that will need to get new job, and redesign it together. I hope I'm not too fast, Abajide. I'm trying to look at my time.
No, the pace is fine.
Okay, thanks very much. Now, another beautiful thing we're going to be looking at is resistance to change. Reasons why change has failed. Now, many times, I'm sure many of us have had to try to, go through an organizational transformational change. We've tried to go through this process and we've not seen the results. The question is, why didn't this thing happen? And I can tell you for sure that somebody else or another leader or another lead that same change that you tried that didn't work and will succeed. And what are the reasons for that? Number one reason could be that you don't get the sponsors right. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, I mentioned earlier that for every change management strategy or any change management transformation you're going through, you need to identify your stakeholders, identify your change agents. Okay? You don't need to get offended. If somebody has been in the company for 10 years and they've been used to a particular way of working and you want to change that way they've been working, you don't want to send them away just like that because they're going to frustrate you. Those are the guys you use for your sponsor. That gates man, that Gaba gates man that you have in your company that has been there for 20 years, that doesn't know how to use clocking system, and you want to bring in another, maybe Allogen permit, or you want to bring in a new company to come and take over your system, I can tell you for sure And if you're not careful, they could frustrate your security framework because they have so much of information around the technology systems, around the in and out, around the exit, around where you keep your things, and they could frustrate. And if you're not careful, if you put them out roughly and you bring your new security, you're going to have attack, which happened to my clients. The clients I mentioned earlier, they were also trying to change their security architecture and the framework, and they brought in a new set of security. They kept on having issues day in, day out, because these guys are your agents. They are the sponsors. Get them on board. Talk to the new security agent. Can they absorb them? Yes. You can't tell me that you have 50 security guys in your company and not even one person can be absorbed into the new company. Something is really wrong. Oh, you want to go through a change, but your MD doesn't understand what you want to do. Because many times we feel that change comes from the top. Sometimes it doesn't come from the top, but the top is the owner of the change. I say this a lot to professionals, that an HR department, excuse me, an HR manager is as successful as the MD wants him or her to be. As a matter of fact, I'm of the opinion that the most senior HR person in a company is the MD. Because if it doesn't align with the new initiative, with the new strategy, it's already dead on arrival. And you hear many times HR professionals feel frustrated, saying, oh, I'm not getting this done. Oh, I want to do this thing. They are not allowing me. I push for this initiative. MD is saying no. I push for this initiative. The question is he a sponsor? Have you gotten his buy-in? Have you told him his role that he has to play? He's not aware. He doesn't know how important it is. An example, you want to do a culture transformation and you're saying, okay, you know what, right now you want to move into a clan culture in this company, and people should not be called by their first title, by Mr. anymore. You want them to be called by their first title, or you want to create a sense of ownership where everybody feels they're business owners, and which means that if I see a paper on the floor at the reception, I don't need to call the janitor to come pick it up. I could just pick it up and trash it, right? That makes you an owner, because that's how you're going to treat your own business. And the MD is not aware of this, or is not in support of this, and a new employee resumes on the first day. He or she could see the wallpapers, the whole, the whole core values you have posted on the walls around, and it sees ownership. And the MD walks in, and the MD sees a paper, and he uses his leg to kick it, or calls the janitor to pick it up. Do you think you've created a good sense of ownership to that kind of person? No. Or you agree that everybody should be called by their first name, but the MD is not comfortable with it, and the junior staff calls the MD Wale, and he frowns at it. There's going to be a problem, because he doesn't understand that he's an owner. He doesn't understand his role in that particular culture transformation. So you need to get your sponsors right. Otherwise, it's going to fail. You're not going to get your transformation or the change you want, the result you want is not going to work out, because you're not able to identify who are the sponsors, who are those guys that are very powerful, who are the influencers that we could talk to, that could help us strengthen this thing. When others are saying no at the lower level, is more, as a matter of fact, it's more interesting, it's more achievable when you have a clear support from the top for any change you want to get to do than when you get the lower level or the middle level support. Number two is jump to a solution to the problem. This also makes your change to fail. So an example is that employees are, you're not thinking employees are leaving, right? But you don't even know. But in your mind, you want to get salary increase. Oh, because people are leaving, it's a problem already. But you haven't done any survey. You haven't done any pulse check to know why they're leaving. You don't know why. You don't know what they want. Why they're moving to company B. But without you doing any survey, without you carrying out any pulse check, instantly you started implementing so many strategies. You increase salary. You started doing so many things, and again, things are still not working. Then you begin to tell yourself, what else is left? Then they'll feel you're not working, that you don't know what you're doing. But the problem is that you've not been able to understand the problem itself before giving a solution. So you've jumped to the solution before having a very strong foundation of the problem. Or because every company during COVID is changing the ways of doing things. Hey, what if your company cannot do technology? Let me say it that way. What if? What if you're not at that level yet? Babajide, not every company would need to embrace Teams.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're aware of that.
I agree.
Not every company can use Slack. What is it? What is your aging population of your workforce? Are they tech savvy? If they are not, why are you wasting your time spending money implementing what they cannot make use of? Oh, you want to train them? What is the cost of training them? When you train them, how will they adapt to it in the long run? That's why we have all of these, different generations in our workforce. So you can understand the dynamics of what can work in a millennial environment to a baby boomer environment. But because everybody is moving to Microsoft Teams, even when you cannot even afford it, even when by the time you afford Microsoft Teams for 2-3 months, you're going to affect your bottom line, but you want to go Microsoft Teams, why don't you find a customized one? If what can work for you, it's simple WhatsApp. Why can't you just do with that for now? You don't have to jump to everything everybody's doing. Customize your solution to fit your problem. Then you can talk of achieving a good change result. Don't plan for certainty. Now, there's this theory around nothing is certain. Hey, hello, do you want to go and tell your MD that? Babajide? Do you want to walk into a board meeting and tell your MD, you know that when we design this framework and they're asking you, are you sure? Tell me the data. What's the validity that if we increase salary today, people are going to understand? You say, MD, it's my work, but I can't guarantee you. You're already in problem.
Exactly.
Am I right?
Right.
Because what you're doing, you're taking a guesswork. And you want the company to invest so much of money. Or the company is saying, why should we stop using system A to B? Give us a guarantee, Mr. HR, that once we deploy this technology, all our policy, and you're saying, that technology is not certain, no. It can fail or not fail. I can tell you've already failed already. Give them that tone that yes, MD, if we increase salary by 20%, if you go through this change process of our culture, if you go through this organizational restructuring, I can tell you that we're going to have high-performing results or high-performing employees. And I've been saying, devil's advocate, are you sure? And they're all tired, like, let's just try. They don't want to hear that. What they want to hear is, yes, sir. If we get to do this strategy, if we review these processes, if we revamp this design, we're going to get this result. And I can guarantee you. Then when I get that, and it goes live, in between, when you see challenges, you call for a meeting to address it. Am I right? You call for a meeting to revisit it. Let's redesign this process, because every framework is an ongoing process. It's a growing concern. It's a work in progress. Nothing is static. Many companies, few months, few weeks to, as a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you for sure that I know of a company in Lagos that few weeks to when COVID got into Nigeria and became a real pandemic to us and a concern, they were recruiting at a hyper level. And you know what happened? People resigned from their jobs, and on the day of resumption, they were fired again. Even though that's a wrong approach, okay? But the reality is, at that time, the business could not accommodate those workforce anymore based on the new change. So what am I trying to say? But if you then say we needed to recruit more salesmen to use our area, say, MD, let's give you 2 more months, though. Is what I'm hearing globally. You're not making sense at that time to them. But you need to have your alternative solution and remedy. So the problem again is because people don't plan for certainty. People are always planning for uncertainty. Like, anything can happen. No, it must happen. We're not taking a guess. It was a business. We're not guessing at this meeting. We're not doing assumptions, even though we know that most of our data are assumptions. But we're not going to be saying that as an assumption to them. Show them that it is real. Start on a solution before the underlying problem. That connects together to the second point, jump to solution to the problem. They are similar. Don't validate the proposed solution. Similar to don't plan for uncertainty. What I mean is that people don't, so I don't mean that don't do those. I mean that the problems are because they don't. Do you understand? Yeah. You have to validate it. Let them ask you, Bola, Babajide, can you approve that? Can you sign up on these things? Don't be scared to sign up, Babajide. Go ahead and sign up on it. People are going to tell you, be careful what you sign up for. Mo. All of us are in the board meeting now. And I'm saying that if we do this action, we will get this result. And that's why you do what they call monitor and evaluation. Right? The sector where I am currently, we're very heavy on M&E. We evaluate at every point. As a matter of fact, the moment a project starts, there's already an evaluation for every step you take. Because we know that chances are high that things might change along the line. The whistle the goalpost can change. It's not like a football match. It can change. We might want to acquire 10 customers or 10 companies, and within 3 months, we can redirect our strategy and say, okay, we want to acquire 50, or we want to acquire less. Are we together? Yes. But they want your approval. They want your assurance that Babajide is saying we should go ahead and do this. Why does an MD sign up? Why does MD sign up on letters of employment or HR? Because it's saying that go ahead and hire, even though that could be an hiring risk. But in change management, you don't do a guesswork. I'm saying it on an authority that in change management, you don't do a guesswork. Even if you are guessing in your mind as a professional, people shouldn't know that you're guessing. People should know that this is an authority speaking. It's going to work. If you go this route, it's going to work. Don't communicate what is happening and why. Always communicate why. Because trust me, particularly in this generation we have, the Gen Z and the WXY, they will ask a question. Why shouldn't I come to work tomorrow? Why should I deploy this solution? Why should I use? They will ask you why. So before they ask you the why, you have the answer to the why. We are moving from a flat structure to a matrix structure or to a functional structure, and they're asking you why. You need to understand the subject matter very well and be able to give an answer. I can tell you for sure, friends and colleagues, that if you're going through a change management process or a transformation, and you can answer all those questions that you're looking at right now as to why changes fail, I can tell you for sure that your change already is already going live successfully. Because you've gotten your sponsors right, you know them, you know their interests, different levels, top, middle, low. You have a problem already, you've analyzed the problem, you've given the solution, you are certain about it, and people understand the plan, people can rely on you, and all of these things. I can tell you that this is as good as a clean slate of successful change management. Others could mean that don't define a measurable outcomes and waypoints. So you want to achieve this particular change. What is your aim? What is the result you want to achieve? Measure it to the business. If you do this, we'll get this. Measure it, put a scale to it, speak with data, speak with numbers, let them understand why, let them see the outcome. But many people cannot even tell you why they want to use a new technology. Or why should I use Teams? And because our computer is using Teams. Really? Why can't you think of what is better than Teams? Why can't different departments have different collaborative tools? Why must everybody use the same thing? Trello can be good for people in project management, but not good for someone in HR. Why should I use Trello? Asana can be good for finance. Asana might not be good for you in logistics, right? Define the measurable ground, the outcomes, the waypoint, the result you want to achieve. Employee resistance also makes it very difficult. I've mentioned that earlier. But when you can understand those guys that are going to give you problem from the beginning, you solve them already from the get-go. Some have to leave. That's the reality of it. Some people need to exit for you to do your change management. But not everybody has to leave. But it's when you can analyze everybody's strength, everybody's interest, make them change agents, and they're still resistant to it, then you can call for an exit because they have to let you go. You have to do what you have to do because you want to see results. So most time, employee resistance is always a big problem to change. But like I said earlier, if you can be able to make them sponsors and identify their area of interest, their strength, why they don't want it to work, I can tell you for sure that you have a lead way already. Don't put strong governance in place, particularly around dependencies. Babajide, I've discovered that one of the reasons why multinational companies have stayed longer than people ever thought was because they have very strong governance. I don't know if you agree with me.
Say that again.
As most of the reasons why many multinational companies have survived or have stayed in business longer than people thought was because they have good governance.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of corporate governance.
Corporate governance, exactly.
Yeah. You know what corporate governance means? It tells you that everybody is on check. Everybody. Everybody. They understand what they need to do. They're setting up a company. They know why they want to be in Africa. They have those that checks them. The MD has the check and balance. It's not working in isolation, or it's not just floating. That's why on many companies' org structure that want to succeed, internal control doesn't report to the MD. I don't know if you agree with me, sir.
Yes.
Internal control don't report to the MD. They report to the board, either to the board chairman or to the board secretary, because that is the guy that also checks the MD or the ED or whatever the case is. But company, when you see the internal control reporting to the MD, excuse me, for me, that's already a failing system already. Because you are asking me to report to somebody I want to check. I can't report well now. Because it's the same person that if I over report him, he will fire me. I report to him on my administrative duties, but I don't report to him, okay, on my confidential duties, on my technical duties. So the internal control can, because the MD is the head, yes. You don't want to create a dichotomy in your hierarchy system, yes. However, that tree should speak up. So you have the board, you have a line, you have the small line, dotted line coming out from the line, internal control, then you have the MD or the ED or whatever the next layer of structure you have, depending on the company organizational design, okay? That's why. But when you have a good governance, it guides you. They look at the change you want to effect. They can see they're experts. So they have the committee on HR. They have the committee on finance. They have the committee on, even within the HR, they now have a subcommittee on salaries. Okay. They have the subcommittees on disciplinary issues. You know, all of those things just tightens the knots very well. And it makes things more easy to do. So even when you want to change anything across board, you might not need to get to the board level anymore. The committee might just be the one that need to sit to look at what you need to change or what are which technology. Okay, let's put to the committee on technology and let them speak to the consultant. Let's look at the cost. Can we afford it? Is it on the budget? You know, and do all of those negotiation and conversations. Don't deal properly with risk. That is also similar to governance. Governance is so much heavy on risk. That's why you have many companies having corporate governance, having the board, well-constituted board. There's a company in Lagos right now. I don't know if you know this company, 54 Gen. Have you heard of them? Hello?
Yeah, we're
Okay, there's a company in Lagos called 54 Gen. I don't know if you heard of them.
Yes, I have. I think it
Great.
is
They came in, it's a bioscience company.
bioscience. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I have friends that work with them. And one of the things that tripped me about the company is the fact that Abajide, from the get-go, this company already considered their board. And when I mean board, not the top layer board, no, all the committees at the various level of the board are already constituted. If you go on their website, you see there, all the boards, all the committees are already there. That's a company ready for the problem. They're ready for the solution already. They're ready for the change. They're ready to transform. And they're ready to stay in business. Because they cannot afford to take any chances with risk at any point. Because over time, one of the biggest challenges with startup in Nigeria has been funds mismanagement. And this company understood what they're doing. Let me move faster. Communication breakdown. Like I said earlier, that's very, very critical. You can never achieve any change management successfully without having a clear communications framework. How do you want to communicate to people? When? Town hall meetings. When should you hold? Okay. What tools you want to communicate to them? Your virtual tools. How do you want to use them to collaborate? How do you want to? And people should know what's going on. They should know why they are changing, why we are moving from point A to point B, why we don't want this anymore. Because they will ask you questions. Like I said, the why generation, they will ask you questions. So be ready for it. Get your communication line very clear. Who speaks to them? At what point do they speak to them? What do they need to know? What shouldn't they know? What's the limit of information they need to have? Because not everybody can handle every information. The way a senior manager will handle information, a junior employee manager handle the same way, right? So you need to understand the communication levels, channel, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, communication level, understand each of the model you want to use for different people at different level, at what time should they know what is happening, and what should they know. Managing the change process and executing the change management. So it's assumed that we've gotten the elements right. Now we want to begin to execute the change, and we've gotten the framework. We understand what we want to do. We've seen the problem ahead of time. We've defined our solution. Now we want to implement, right? What do we need to do? Number one, recognizing the changes in the broader business environment. Okay, what's going to be the impact for the change in the long run for the whole business? What will business gain? Or would they lose if they implement this change? You need to have that written down clearly. Scoop it out like an ice cream. Scoop it. Be ready to let them understand what it means. You need to recognize it. You can't just do a change in isolation for a department alone. How will it affect the whole business? Or how will the whole business change affect my department? Developing necessary adjustment for business needs. What does the business need to adjust about? Let them understand from the get-go. Okay, develop it for them. If you can, get an expert. If you can't, get the strategy department to develop it for them. They need to understand that what will they adjust to? Is it a certain arrangement? Are you going to implement ergonomics? Whatever you want to implement at any level, they need to understand how they fit into it. Training employees on the appropriate changes. So technology is changing. We're not using SAP anymore. We're now using seamless HR woman manager. People need to be trained. That if you don't assume that it has the same functionality, people need to be trained. Otherwise, that technology will not work. You even have more problem. So be ready to train people. Even for the new skills I mentioned, people need to know the new skills. Oh, they need to go for IFRS training. Whatever training they need to go, people need to do their HRCI exam. They need to do their CIPM exam to understand the new labor practices, to understand the new engagement field. People need to be trained because you're changing from one point to the other point, right? People even need to know how to move to the new location. All of those things. Training is very important if you're doing it. Identify what area, do your gap analysis. What are we changing? Technology, okay, the result is 1, 2, 3. This new one has 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, people need to be trained. Do your curriculum, level of training for different people at different level, deep level. Some need to have the front level understanding. Some need to have full scale training. Design those framework at different level of people. Winning the support of employee with persuasiveness of the appropriate adjustment. Yes, that also flows into your communication system. You want to make changes. People need to be romance at this time. Because trust me, it's very rigid. It's like a pregnant woman going to the labor room. It's not going to be easy. You need to caress her. You need to speak to her in a very good tone. Nurses are not going to shout on a woman about it. They won't shout. They won't say push. They won't shout. And no, they will speak to her mildly. push, sorry, they'll pat the woman. That's because she's about to change from being pregnant into delivery, and it comes some pain, right? So they won't just scream at her. They have to, persuade her very well so that she can be able to be alive to give us a baby and also train the baby. And the same thing applies to employees. People say, I mentioned earlier, people-centeredness. We need to be keen about that so that we can be able to achieve our results. Create a sense of urgency. Like I mentioned earlier, certainty. It has to be quick. Don't sleep around on it because times are changing. Otherwise, if you're not careful, before you even implement that change, something would have caught up with you, like what has happened to the world right now. Many companies had planned for whatever they wanted to do. Many companies wanted to be like Netflix. They couldn't because Netflix was already in the picture. They were still holding on, working on, we're revamping, reviewing, and Netflix just understood what happened, changed immediately, adjusted, made more availability, increased negotiation, all of those things. Urgent. Change is urgent. It's not when all your staffs are gone before you now begin to drive engagement strategy. Form a strategic vision. Like I said, that ties up to the vision. It has to be clear. It has to be clear. What do you want to achieve? What is in it for the business leaders, for the business, for the employee? What's the vision? Generate short-term wins. Don't make it too big. Don't have, like I said, for the vision, don't make it too big. You came into Nigeria, you haven't won Nigeria market, talking of winning African market. Make it short-term wins. Capture Lagos, capture Ibadan, capture Osun, capture, like that, and begin to expand. What do you want for this change management we are going to? Is it structural? Is it transformational? Is it strategic? What do you want to achieve? 1, 2, 3. Okay, clear picture. Set your goals. The priorities are very, very right. Don't make it too broad. Sustain acceleration. Whatever pace like urgency, whatever pace you start with, sustain it. When you call for your meetings weekly, maybe when you started the framework was weekly meeting, maintain that acceleration level. Don't slow down. People are going to get tired. That's human being for you. So keep eating it hard. Don't slow the pace because nobody's waiting for you. Keep pushing. People are going to be laid back, but keep pushing. The route has to be, don't drive slowly. Now, I want to speak about the VUCA model and how it affects change management. Now, I'm going to be very quick around it. We are very used to the VUCA model of volatile, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. However, for change management, the results for a VUCA model will be that there's going to be a vision that'll be well understood, okay, that'll be very clear, and also easy to adapt. So what am I trying to say is the fact that we know things are volatile, but don't see that alone. Begin to see a vision in it. Okay? Effective businesses do not allow change to cloud their vision. However, they might revise a strategy to achieve that vision. See that vision. And if it's failing, I'll begin to redesign it. Understand me very well. The times you have right now, it's a global pandemic, but we're not going to stay there forever. Okay? So what do we need to do? Even post-COVID, even while in COVID, even when the world changes, even during the second wave, whatever wave it is, what's the understanding of its time or what's about to happen next? Think very fast, think global, think ahead. Then be very clear about it. Don't be ambiguous about it. Just like the rule number 10. Okay, in the 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, it says that the law of connection advises leaders to communicate with openness and sincerity. Let people understand what you want to do. They should not be lost. They shouldn't be thrown up and down everywhere. They should be very focused. They should know that, we are moving to Lagos from Abuja. We're not branching Osun. We are going straight to Lagos. Not that you get to Ondo, you stop. Akure, you stop. Ife, you stop. No. Adaptability. Can people adjust to it? People should be able to, look at what has happened to COVID. People should be able to ready to be flexible. Even our business strategy should be flexible. Whatever we're doing should be flexible. It shouldn't take us time to adapt. We should be prepared for flexibility because the world is global. The world is flexible right now. And that's what it's going to look like for us going forward. So that's a summary of the vocal structure. in terms of the revamped way for the end result of VUCA for leadership. How many more slides so I can know how to run through it? Wow. Okay, let me just speak. About how many more minutes do I have, please?
We actually have the session is meant to round up by 5, so we have about 23 more minutes, including time for question and answer.
I hope I'm not boring you too theoretical. Babajide, what are the feedbacks? I hope people are not feeling bored.
Let's have feedback in the comments.
Yeah, let's have feedback so that if I need to, change the learning strategy, sharp. Okay, so now, how do we achieve a successful change management? Now, the core role for us as HR. So I've spoken across what we need to do as HR professional, as leaders, as executive, and HR in all of this. But I want to specifically, make this HR specific and say that, number one, you need to define a measurable stakeholders aim and create a business case for their achievements, which should be continuously updated, like I've mentioned earlier. So for us, HR, we need to own this and let the business see us as we're part of this, we own this, right? And we're ready to get things done. Now, we also need to monitor assumptions, risk, dependencies, cost. What's it going to cost a business? What's it for the business? That's what they want to hear. I can tell you, see, those guys, our guys, what matters to them in all this is what's the cost? What's the result for me? But what's the ROI? You get what's the benefit? What's the disbenefit? Show them all these things. Develop an effective education, training of skills, upgrading skills for organizations. Let people know that.
So quick feedback before I continue. So attendee says you can carry on, that they don't mind. So I overshoot the time a bit, but go on, please.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, so develop an effective education, training of skills, upgrading skills for your organization. Now, when I say education, I'm not referring to sending people to schools to say that, you know what, the school you went to is not good enough. You need to go to another school. No, we are saying create a learning faculty. I'm sure yesterday Wale dealt so much on learning interventions, right? Yes, that's a very strong instrument for any company that is going through a change management. You need to create a learning culture. If possible, develop an internal faculty that will manage your learning interventions, your learning programs. No matter the training, either formal, informal, semi-formal, conventional, any model, you need to develop that faculty that will help you. So that as people go through these changes, they understand what they need to do. When there are reactions, they can take it up. When there are reactions, they can take it up. When there's a low level to it, they can take it up. It could be counseling, it could be coaching. Set up your coaching centers within your business. It doesn't have to be a room or an hall. People are the coaching centers. Develop an internet, identify people that are shown to be mentors among the change agents that will help you to understand, because as HR, you can't be the one answering all the questions, right? So those agents are the ones at their departmental level can be able to answer the questions for you and let them understand why you're changing those things at different times. Excuse me. Counter resistance from the employees of companies and align them to our strategic vision of the organization. Now, this is very critical because the Bible says, I don't know if you are, just allow me, my people perish for lack of vision, wisdom, right? People need to be connected to your business direction. Trust me, if employees don't understand why we are going to Lagos from Abuja, people are going to stop at Ibadan. And you can't blame them because they don't know why we need to be in Lagos early enough. There need to be that connection. Constantly share your vision with them. Have an intranet where people can see your strategy at every point in time. your strategy at every point in time. We've had our board meeting. This is the resolution of the board. Many people don't even know their board constitution. Many people don't know what happened at the board resolution. Many people don't know what the board is saying about the business. At this time, what has the board said to your company about COVID? Let the employees know. It's a sense of belonging. They feel like, yeah, these are because people talk to themselves. Babajide, employees relate to themselves. So imagine a company tells you that, oh, last week we got the report from the board, and your own company it has never happened. People are going to feel somehow. I don't know if you agree with me.
I agree.
Because they hear board, and so it's a big deal. I don't know, it's a big deal to employees here when they hear the board has spoken, not the MD has spoken, but let them have that feeling of, oh, last week our board met and this is a resolution. It makes them feel like they're in a very big company, in a very, how should I say it? Please help me with the English. I mean, they feel like it's a real company
It's a
because
multinational.
it's a multinational, they feel that way. So let them understand what the board have said, the resolution of the board. Tell the MD, sometimes once in a while, show the internal communication and let them hear what the board have said. The board have said we are doing well. The board have said we are not doing well. The board are not happy with us. I was in a company like that. And whenever I hear the board say we're happy, oh my God, my head is always blowing up like, wow, the board. And the reason the board might have more than 2 or 3, it doesn't really matter, but there's a board that drives the company's will. All right? Provide personal counseling to elevate any change-related fear. That's what I mentioned earlier. Around the change agent, develop the counseling team, the coaching team. Let them speak to people over time. People can ask questions. And when they are scared that, oh, I'll lose my job, but because that man he's been in that company for a long time and is a part of the change agent. So when his fellow old colleague asks him, be like, oh, don't worry, I understand what they are doing. Don't worry, we're not losing our job. Exactly. But if a new employee is telling an old staff, they won't believe. Okay? But because you've made one of the old staff to be around, to be among the change agents, it becomes more interesting for them when they hear that, oh, don't worry, I've spoken to one of the change agents. He has said, and this thing is connection, right? They will tell the other person that, oh, so person has spoken and he says we are doing well and everybody is happy. Their worries have been taken care of. Monitoring, implementation, and fine-tuning as and when required. I mentioned that earlier too. Be flexible. Be ready to adapt to changes. And now, when you do all these things, I can tell you again that HR, you'll be doing a good job because you've created a framework around all of these things. And there are steps. I mean, it doesn't have to be a long list, just step by step. Business connection, dependencies on cost, ROI for the business, communication mechanism, education, and all those things. Okay. Now, there are questions you also need to ask yourself that you might need to also write down, or you might need to also, jot down for your change. Number one is effective communication that informs various stakeholders of the reasons for the change. I've mentioned that earlier. Now, the why question, the what question, the when question, the 5W questions. These are key questions that need to be asked in every change management transformation. Why? What's the benefits of successful implementation? What are we going to achieve if we implement this change management? Strategic change, if we implement it, what's the need for us? Structural change, what's the need for us? Okay, it has to be detailed. When and where, who is involved? Stakeholders, draw the line, itemize them, let them know their functions, let them know how they come in, when they come in, at what point will they come in, how much will it cost? Cost here doesn't mean money. It might mean the gain or the loss. As a matter of fact, cost here refers to the loss of the business. If we do this change, what is it going to cost us? What are we going to lose? Staffs? Okay, we rehire. If we rehire, what are we going to lose from performance? these questions, as a matter of fact, at every time I'm going into a project management on change or transformation, I always have these questions written down on my wall, on my board. I just put the 5 W's. I put it there. I want to know what it's going to cost me. I want to know how it's going to cost me. I want to know who is involved and all of those things. The impact of change on organization, I call it the beautiful flower, right? So, like the cost. So, what happens to us? What's the impact for us? When we divide this transformation, we go through it strategically, we go through it functionally, we go through it organizational redesign. What is a beauty? So I call it the beautiful flower. Flower is so beautiful, so that's why I call it the beautiful flower. Number one is change means growth opportunities. And how do you achieve this? Change means growth. Something is changing. So, for example, again, a woman that is pregnant, okay, people have seen her to be pregnant. The joy of it is the delivery of the baby. And it's a growth. She's no longer Mrs. anymore, Miss anymore. She's now mommy somebody, mommy Tola, mommy Clara, whatever. There's already a change in status. Something is added, something is new, something beautiful has happened. A new life has been colored. So that's what change happens. At every point you go through change management transformation for a positive reason, it brings growth to your business. Challenging the status quo, that's what you've done. Some companies never use technology. Some companies couldn't work from home. They felt they can't work from home. The MD didn't see the vision. They didn't believe in it. But HR was able to show that people can work from home and still give us results. Why? Because we've designed a good performance management system. We can track them. We have stand-up meetings. I don't have to see your to get the job done. What have I done? I've challenged what was never achievable. Oh, we can't be acquired. Who said so? We are too small. Oh, I can't acquire a new business. Who said so? I've gone all the way out. I'm changing the nomenclature. I'm changing the paradigm. There's already a shift at a level. What other thing happens to you again? Is you're up to date with technology, particularly if you're changing on technology strategic level. You're up to date. You want to know which one is better than what we've had. What I changed from. What's the new one better for me on that one? Oh, I'm using Teams right now. What's the new one? Every time you want to update it, just like the way you update your phone, from iPhone 1 to iPhone 15 or whatever it is, it's an update. Because once you use an iPhone, you don't want to go back to any other phone. Like me, it's either iPhone or nothing. And I want to keep going to the latest version. So because you're already in that paradigm level already, you're constantly updating yourself because you want new features, right? So you keep up with changing customer expectations. Particularly if your change is caused by customer or new entrants or customer communication or new demand customer, you want to keep ensuring that you can always meet and exceed the expectation. The other thing you see is opportunities. Under development and merger and acquisition, you see new opportunity, you're thinking, oh, okay, which can we acquire again? How can we expand our frontiers again? That's what happened to you because you're already there already. There's so much of energy for you. You don't want to go back. You want to keep moving forward. I've acquired company B. Can I look at Dangote? So many things just want to keep changing around you because you're already on that level already. Everything you're thinking is change. I want to change the status quo. I want to challenge the norm. So you're constantly thinking of new ways of doing things, how to get bigger, faster, and stronger. And that's why when you have this at the back of your mind, you're not scared to change. You're not scared to move into that level of trying to change structure. You don't want to just sit down because once you've started it, you want to keep moving forward. It increased performance for the business, for the employees, because they are well trained on the new technology. They are well trained on the new skills. They are well trained on the new business model you're operating on. So performance increases. Under culture transformation for engagement, employees are performing, they're more happy. Salaries have been reviewed. There's more tHRive. Things have changed. So expect performance to increase also. Higher retention engagement, yes, like I mentioned, it goes together. These things happen because you've been able to address a particular problem that wasn't making people to be engaged. New career opportunities for employees. Like I said, when you do a change management, some people are going to lose their job, some people are going to get job enlargement, some people are going to have job enrichment, some people are going to get promoted, some people are going to get demoted. So it's a win-win across, it's a win-lose. Either way you see it. Some people gain, some people lose. But for those that win, so people are going to get promoted. If you're doing a structural organizational redesign, some people are going to get promoted. There'll be more room up for people to move up to. There'll be more expansion. People are going to take up new challenges. There's room for you as an employee right now to now show more powers, show more skills, and be able to move the ladder in your career. Like I said, right, sizing and downside also happened. Unfortunately, that's the effect of change. God forbid, Babajide, if a woman is pregnant and she doesn't go through the right antenatal or doesn't get the right medical attention, unfortunately, before 9 months, the pregnancy could come down. I don't know if I'm correct.
You're right.
Exactly. But what she was looking forward to what? To having a baby. But unfortunately, she didn't take care of herself. She didn't take care of herself. If she's not careful, she will lose the baby. Even some, God forbid, at 9 months, I mean, the worst happened. We don't pray for such, but hello, permit me to say this, that's the irony of life sometimes. Change brings right sizing. Some people have to leave us. You know what? We are changing the business model. We don't want to acquire Africa anymore. We want to acquire Nigeria. I'm sorry. You know, we can't accommodate this large workforce anymore because of technology has come in. Some job has been optimized, have been technologized. So I'm sorry. We have to right size. That's the effect of change. You can't tell the owner to keep you when your work is taken over by technology, unfortunately. Promotion, like I mentioned, also happen. People get to be happy. People move up when change happens. Now let's connect it with the workforce, with the employees. What happens to them? Number one, you need to be able to analyze the current supply of time and skills that you have. What technical skill exists on your team? What exists on my team? Just like technology, what can it do? What can it not do? So what skill do I have on my team? What skill am I upskilling? Are my employees looking for things to fill their time or challenge to complete their work? Under organizational restructuring, these are the questions you have to answer for your employees. What technical skill exists on my team? If we are doing a skills transformation, okay, what are the skills that are changing? What do they have? Skill gap analysis. What do they need to acquire to help us scale up to that change we want, to that skill level we want? Number two, determine the needs of the present and the future of the organization. As you change, as you're moving, begin to align yourself. What are the mission critical goals of your unit? So as HR, this is how you support the business with your workforce to scale up the change management you want to see. Do I need to hire new staff? Do I need to hire new staff to get the job done? Do I need to hire new staff to get the job done? Do I need more people? This is a massive change. Do I need people that are consultants, internal, external? Are there decreased demands for rights now? You know, all of those questions. Do you anticipate anything different in the coming months? Oh, for HR, if I redesign this process this way, do I expect some reactions or not? Identifying gaps in needed skills or opportunities for expense reduction. Is there a shortage of skills and demand for work? Can the new skills be learned quickly? If not, should we go to consultants? Can they be trained? If not, do I bring in a graduate training program? I want experienced hires. Oh, the cost. Can I have a capacity on my budget? So all this is around what HR needs to do before you eat the change you want. Before you tell the MD, you know what, we've looked at the current situation of the business, we need to eat the change. The question is, do you have the resources yourself as a department to manage this change you want to effect? Do I have it? You know, because what will happen is you'll be overwhelmed. You'll be amazed that, oh, it's just a change management. Okay, I want to change this and change that. It's so easy to do. But the question you're going to find yourself to answer the fact that, do I have the capacity within my team to manage this workforce, to manage this diversification, this organizational restructure that is going to be going out? Do I need to recruit more people? At what level? Entry level, middle level, higher level? Develop the way forward using the workforce planning option for the entire business. What combination of strategies can you use to meet the financial needs of your unit? They are very fundamental questions of strategy you need to develop. Develop the way forward. What my workforce planning looking like? Hello?
We're here.
Okay. So, because this element for you, what's the new roadmap for you as a department? You need to be able to get that very clear, because they're going to be launching into a new space for the business. They're looking up to you to lead them, and you can't afford to complain. So before you eat it up, check yourself. My workforce planning structure. This is how the change will impact me. I mean, prepare for it. I have 5 staff before. I don't need 4 anymore. I need just 2. How do you communicate to them and still be a good leader? Exactly. They've changed my budget. HR, how do I become a cost? How do I start becoming a cost center? How can I begin to make money for the company without doing sales? Is to support the company strategically at the right time with good customer centrism. How to think about change, summarily. So when you hear change as a professional, when you see change, how do you think about it? I've tried to give examples of the plane flying that needs to navigate back to, or that needs to take a different tour, or change somewhere, who needs to be communicated to and how. How do you think of change? Like a pregnant woman who has a baby, who's pregnant and about to go into labor room, that need to freeze, unfreeze, or rephrase, or that need to change. How do you visualize it like that? How do you move from the norm that you had before to the new norm? What's the reaction for you? What problem does this change solve? Why must I go for antenatal? It will make you stronger. It will help you understand your medical condition and what you should do and what you should not do. You need to answer those questions. What problem does this change solve? Because if you cannot understand what the change is going to give you or what the problem is, then that means in the real sense of it, you never needed a change. Right? So it has to be a problem that you want to solve. And that problem must be well understood. What difference does it make? So if I apply this change or this methodology or this framework, why wouldn't it give me a different result? Or if I use this methodology, what difference does it make? If you move from a flat structure to a functional structure, what difference will it make in the business performance? If you move to a matrix model, what business will it change? At the board level, at executive level, trust me, they will ask you these questions. And as professional, you must be able to answer them. What difference does it make? If you don't change, if you don't increase salaries, if you don't design engagement framework, if you don't train people, is this aligned to our purpose and value? This is a very strong topic for me because every company should have a very clear vision, the mission, the purpose, your culture, what unites you together, right? So in your change management strategy, there must be that understanding because you don't want to shift from your culture, from your core value. You're not going to be changing your core values that much. Is it aligned to our purpose? We intend to diversify into agriculture. Can we sustain the same purpose back to the vision? Because for any strategy you're initiating, if it doesn't connect back to your business vision, objectives, you're already going to be living on a different level. Have I got the right influencers involved? Look at this coming up again to us again. The right sponsors, are they involved? Otherwise, I won't get the right support. Do I have the right support? Do I have the right agent doing the right thing for me? You know, those questions must be answered. Otherwise, sit down, write it down. Mr. Carpenter, Mr. Gatesman, I have him ready. It's, you know, those people, I identify them and be sure that you have their support. And it's a genuine support. How do I capture employees' voice quickly to inform the strategy? That's why I mentioned the pulse check. Know their feeling about that initiative you want to develop. Will it meet their aim at that time? What's the percentage of people that want new salary? What's the percentage of people that want new work tools? What's the percentage of people that want a beautiful office space? People that want to work from home? People that want a MacBook laptop? Do your data. Understand that once you hit this road going, these people are going to give you their support. When you communicate to an employee, they will understand that yes, we're on the same paradigm level. Are you ambitious with your timelines? Urgency, like I mentioned, is a very critical one. Are you ambitious with it? Run with it. Oh, agile, we want to move 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks. It's not going to change. We're changing the structure within the next 1 week. It's 1 week. When will it end? By week 2. It must not change. If there'll be a change, communicate to people. Because people are excited to see what the new look looks like. It's again, it's like a pregnant woman. They want to see the baby. They've seen the scan already, but they want to see the baby. Right? They want to see the baby, so they're excited. Some are not happy, but some are happy. So be ambitious to get the result. If you want to change the timeline or the time scope or the project scope, communicate so that people don't get unnecessarily anxious. And by the time the real thing happens, they're like, oh my God, we expected more. And lastly, set clear goals and hold people accountable to them. Like I mentioned from the start, let people know what their role is, what they need to do, their support. Let them know what they need to do. Let them know what they need to do. Set clear goals and hold people accountable. If possible, let people sign up on what their role is on each of the phases. Let the MD sign up that for this culture change, I agree by this new cultural model. Let him sign up for you and hold on to it. In conclusion, as a wrap up, over the years, I've always believed strongly in capturing hearts and minds and connecting to the why. And earlier I mentioned that there's going to be a lot of why. As a matter of fact, as we leave this section, one thing that should come to your mind, if at all, you won't pick many things. One thing you should take away is the fact that in a culture or in a change management process, there's always a why. Why are we doing this process? Why are we changing this? Why are we moving from here to this place? Why are we changing our office location? Why are we acquiring a new business? To me, this is what has enabled such unprecedented amount of change to unfold in the last few months. When COVID came up, there was so much of answers to every strategy companies were developing. People needed to answer questions. Why we needed to write time? I thought we had money. But has it ever happened to you before? I don't know if in this process people started asking those questions from you, or you had people asking their handy when we were right size. I thought we had money. I thought we had money. I thought we were profitable last year. I thought we were making money all these years. So what changed? Why are you right sizing now? It's just 3 months down the line. COVID is just 4 months. Many companies have had to right size, had to lay off staff, multinationals. So the question is, all the billions that we're declaring, what happened to so for this 4 months, you can't hold us together. You can't hold us together. There was those questions. I personally asked 3 questions when I heard that Access Bank gave so much of money to COVID, and yet they said they wanted to, right size for whatever reason. The question is, all the profit before tax you make, where are the money? It's just 4 months down the line that COVID is eating the Nigeria, or 5 months, and company the right side. So what happened to all the money we make? There's always going to be the why. And as a world, we have seen what is possible. That change, number one, is inevitable. That change can be achieved as long as we understand and we have a very clear set goals and objective. The approach we want to take is very clear. The result we want to see is very, very clear. We know who to talk to. We know who to get their buy-in. So for me, the takeaway for us is, let's be brave and embrace the opportunity of how we want to achieve our change, of how we need to constantly review our processes, review our strategies, and be ready to achieve the results. Thank you very much, everyone. So I think right now I can take questions.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. That was 2 hours packed with practical insights, change management. Like I've never heard it before. Very detailed. Thank you for your session. I thought everybody will run away, but people stayed on, even though we are overshooting our time. Thank you very much. We'd like to get some feedback before we quickly take the questions. How was the session? Please let me know. Let's bother know. How
Please, I
did
want
it
to
go?
know.
Please, we need to know.
I don't mind if I can hear people talk,
Yes,
if
yes.
possible.
So yes, I'll make that happen. So
Okay.
fantastic, very insightful. Wow, wow, wow. That was what that person had to say. Super wow. Great, well done. It's a practical breakdown. Fantastic session. Highly detailed. This session is bam, thumbs up. Okay, I don't. Okay, so thank you for your feedback. Thank you, Bola, for taking our time to give us a packed presentation. Thank you for all that you shared. It was more than what we bargained for, but I'm telling you, we've taken so much. Even though I'm on this side of the table, but I've learned a lot. So thank you very much.
Okay, so I have a question. So can I take questions? I can see some questions.
Yes, I'll read out the questions. So there's 2 similar questions already. Is asking on that borders on what actions can be taken if an employee refuses change. Someone added that especially the old employees. So what do you advise?
Okay, I mentioned earlier that some of the reasons why change doesn't work is because of resistance from employees, right?
Yeah.
Now, and don't also forget that the change you're trying to effect doesn't revolve, is not dependent on the particular employee, right? So you're not changing the employee's lifestyle. It's a company, you're changing the way we work. Okay? We're changing our modus operandi, we're changing what we've been used to. And of course, knowing fully well that it's going to be very difficult. I just said, even for a woman that is pregnant 9 months and is in labor room, if you allow her, she won't mind to just keep the baby in the pregnancy if there's a way she can still be seeing the baby live, right? Because going to that labor room is going to be a lot of pain. And again, the fear of what if she passes away. I can tell you, ask plenty pregnant women, they always have that fear of delivery. Now, that was why we have those structures to understand which area do you want to change exactly. The change agents at different levels, departmental level, business function level, SBE levels, structure, cadre level, right? To talk to these people, let them see the big picture. So I want to assume that you have a very clear communication. They've seen the big picture, why the change needs to happen, and yet they don't want to change. The question will be, what exactly is the employee refusing to do? Is it an habit of performance management system of how you report your tasks? maybe we've said update your tracker every week or every day, and a particular employee has refused to update. Get the employee to be spoken to, call the employee, let them say why they don't update the tracker. An employee still doesn't, update the tracker. Clearly, that person is not is not in the journey with you. All right, they're not in the journey with you. But the question would be that what if an employee is a top performer, is a superstar, or a sales guy that is the one eating the numbers and has refused to follow the particular change that we want? Two things I'm going to recommend. What is important to you? Your business, your core values, or your numbers? That question, I can't answer it. Are we together?
Yes, we are.
What's the question? So that's it. So an employee is a top performer on your 9 boss metrics, is a leader on the job ladder, is a performer, is a superstar, back to back, quarter in, quarter out, is performing style. But you've changed your culture and you've said people should not be called by their first name. People should be called with Mr. Respect is now a big part of your culture. But this employee is struggling. Approach would be come out of the struggle. Is the employee willing to yield to that? If yes, if it's a struggle problem and there's a will to call out of struggle, yes, give it time. But the employee is saying, no, I don't want to do this. I'm not going to adjust to this. Comfort-wise, I'm not going to adjust it. The question is, what is important to you? Your core values, your culture, or the numbers? Have I answered you?
Yes, a fantastic response. You have to choose between those two. I think there's a similar question here, but this has to do with, okay, how do you manage change when you're MD? So this is coming from the top now. When your MD and key stakeholders are not supporting your proposed change, and yet complaining that you are not innovative. That question is from Monisha Day.
Okay, thank you very much, Monishade. This is very, very practical, and I can understand. But I mentioned that they have to be your sponsors. I spoke about the MD being the most senior HR person, right? So let's say what you want to do is a culture change, and the MD, people should be called first names, and then he doesn't buy into it. Of course, it will be difficult for you to achieve what you want to achieve. And again, they keep saying you're not innovative. The point is, at every time you go with your initiative, get them to sign up on it. At any time you come up with an initiative, have it documented so that when they say you don't have innovation, you show them, but this innovation was approved now. We implemented it. You are the one that is breaking the rule. That's number one approach. Get them to sign up on it. In any way, in mails, just a yes, a no, whatever works in your company, paper-wise, paperless, get them to sign up on it. On all your initiatives. Don't just roll out innovation at every time. Work with them very well. And even if you work with them and they still don't give you the support that you want eventually, or they are the one defaulting, there's so much there's so much less you can do when the biggest problem you have for initiative development is from the top. And as I said, an HR persons are successful as what the MD wanted to. And the most senior person in HR to me is the MD or the ED or whatever structure it is. So if they are the one making it difficult for you, I can tell you that, in HR we say there's so much you can do. But make sure that in your own little way, you get a sign off from the beginning. Let them see the picture. Speak with them with data if possible. Be very diplomatic. Increase your negotiation skills. If the MD is saying, no, look at the net after the MD, who you can penetrate. Okay? Find the next person after the MD who you can sell your idea to. But again, how do you sell your initiative as a professional? Many of us are not good at selling because we're not salespeople. We might need to learn how to pitch, internal pitching. How do you pitch your initiative to your management? It's very important. So we need to learn how to pitch. What are the step by step? He says no today. How do you go again tomorrow? Persuading. If it's someone that likes drinking, spend it. I tell you this about you, these are things that happened. If your MD likes drinking and he hangs out, I'm not saying you don't have to join him to drink, but hang out with him and find a way to have a tete-a-tete with him out of the office. Understand his emotional level. This is where your emotional intelligence comes to play. When do you say your idea? When? Sometimes we don't say like that at the right time. Do you agree with me? Some of us don't say at the right time. Your MD is back from the board meeting. He has been lashed at the board meeting. You are going to him to sell an idea. He won't listen to you. Find their good moments. Sometimes. Find their good moment. These things help sometimes. Look for someone that knows them in the company that they like to talk to. You can even use your top performance that they cannot do without. And find a way to pitch. And I'm sure that if you deploy this methodology and yet it doesn't still work, then be sure that there's really nothing you can do. Then you may have to just talk to God and fast and pray.
Thank you very much. So, like you mentioned, if you want to ask a question, like if you want to speak, if you have a comment, if it's a feedback, just raise your hand and we'll enable you to speak from here. We'll be taking more questions quickly. Okay, there's a question here. The question is, sometimes the results you intend to get from change management strategies take time that the stakeholders struggle to hold on through the journey. How would you continuously remind them of the vision that led to the need for the change?
So beautiful question. Thank you very much. Don't forget that change is continuous. And many times, many of us see change as big, right? It could just be very, very small. It could just be something you're amending from what you had before. Okay? And doesn't mean you have to go through all the process all over and all over. But the key thing is your stakeholders, identify them. The quick wins, what you want to achieve. Put a timeline to when a time frame, a phase, circle of when you want to achieve the whole change. Some companies in the next 5 years, are still going to be going through a change process after this COVID. Of how massive they are, of the complexity of their business, their diversity and inclusion that they have to, comply with. It might take a long time for them to go through this process. But the only way to keep many people is if you have an intranet or a communication mechanism, every week throw in articles, okay? Throw in competition, do a book section that speaks to that particular reason or that particular approach you're trying to solve. People get to be reminded. You have town hall meetings. If you don't have one, kickstart one. These are communication mechanisms. At a town hall meeting, get them to remind them about those things. Outside town hall, do a flash up to your height on their system. That's the way you do your iOS policy on your system. Sometimes, maybe once in a week or once in a month. When I was at the US Embassy, you get to see those things on your system when you come into work every week. They remind you of where we're going to, where we're coming from. It just comes back to you. Sometimes change your office wallpapers, paste them again. People get to see them. They are reminded of where we're going to. The journey is still far. We are 70% off to the journey. Put numbers. We're 30% to destination. We're 5% away from our last of our achievement. Those kind of things. Be dramatic, be very social about it. Don't get too serious. Find some fun facts, some fun things you can do. Doing your tHRive, get people to be reminded. Your town halls, your intranet, your communication, your systems on your laptop, flash the memories, remind of showing, sometimes send videos of where we're coming from. Get your IT team, your media unit, your communication unit to do some video, some funny things. People should just see the video, stories, put a win to it, put a price to it. Doing that video, ask questions. What was the last color you saw? The winner the people get to be entangled to those things. And those things are going to work for us.
Fantastic. If I can add as well, go
sure,
for
no
quick
problem.
wins. go for quick wins and build on that. And then from the other session we had last weekend, you can also use nudges
Yeah.
to influence people's behavior on that. Okay, one question from Obaseki Samuel. What is the role of knowledge management in managing change, given the inevitability of change and considering the fact that employees would have to keep learning new things consistently? Don't know if you got that.
Yeah, I did. So if you remember, I mentioned about knowledge, also about continuous training with your change management faculty, how they keep getting people, keep training people, let them understand how important those things are. That's the only approach. Once you have an internal faculty, extend it to the change agents for the particular purpose. Okay, so you have a change section when they talk about all these things, and individually, people that have, even with the mentorship and coaching, those that have mentor and coach, the coach also spend time to them, reminding them of all these things, telling them again what kind of knowledge you want them to get. It goes back to the change you're trying to do. Is it upscaling of people? Is it upscaling of people? Is it downscaling? Whatever it is, right? So those change management will drive those things without spending so much of money on training. If you have a good LMS, you have that section that drives those things through those agents and through your coaching and mentors. Yeah. Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, I think there was someone raising their hands. I can't see the hand anymore. If you would like to speak, like I mentioned earlier, please raise your hand, whether it's a question, feedback, or comments. We'll be happy to let you speak. So quickly, let's take. Okay, I think we don't have any other question there. So if you have any other question while we're wrapping this up, um, please send in your question. Okay, any more questions? Or we can let Bola go. Thank you once again, Bola. It's been a
Thank you very much.
fantastic one from you.
Thank you very
Uh,
much.
is a good way to wrap up this weekend session. This is the last session for this weekend. Thank you for everyone that joined and waited till the end. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time. Investing your time this Sunday evening. Yeah, it's great having you all
It's a
here.
pleasure.
More sessions to come next weekend, throughout the weekends in August. So be sure to join us again next weekend for 6 more sessions. We'll be having Faith Akin today, Shegun Akiyode, and many, many more speakers to come next weekend.
Babajide, if they want the content, just let me know. I'll send to you. Then you could, archive
Yes,
and
yes,
share
yes,
with people.
yes. So we'll be sharing these slides as well. So thank you for that. Thank you for giving us permission to share. A lot of people have actually asked that. And you can also connect with him on LinkedIn. I think there was someone asking for your contacts. Omobolande Adesanya is his name on LinkedIn. You can connect with him and continue the session with the conversation. So thank you all. Yes, Bumi, you get the slides. Adegbola says the guy is a great guy, hands-on knowledge. Thank you, Bola.
Can
Thank
I
you for
leave?
this amazing. Yes. So
All right.
thank you, everyone. It's been nice having you all. Please take note of the attendance code. Have a great week ahead, and see you next weekend.